Hey friends, welcome to part 2 of this video where we're making these cute little critters. You can choose to make either a bunny, a hedgehog, or a mouse. Now, I printed these pictures off of the internet because when you are making something, you need a reference to look at. You need something to show you what shape you need for the body and where you might want to put the eyes and the nose and the shapes for the ears. That just helps you make it look a little more realistic. Okay, so for our samples today, I'm going to show you how to make the mouse, but you will notice that the mouse and the hedgehog are very similar, so I'll show you the changes that you have to make, and then the bunny is just a little bit different, and I'll show you the changes that you need to make the bunny too. Maybe you want to make all three, I don't know. Okay, so when we are looking at how to make the body, we need to look at the shape of the animal. So when I look at a mouse, and I think about what shapes make up a mouse, if I were drawing the mouse, I could see that there's a nice big circle here for most of the mouse's body, and sort of an oval for the mouse's head, and just about the same thing for the hedgehog, and really just about the same thing for the bunny. So that's why we can make all three of these just by using sort of one pattern. Okay, so for this project, you are going to need some tape. You will need some newspaper, and you'll need a piece of cardboard. We're going to use this for the ears. And you will need a little bit of aluminum foil. So before you start, you are going to want to take your tape, and you're going to want to tear a few pieces off, so that once you've crumpled your paper, you have something, you don't have to put the paper down to tear your tape. And I have some pretty wide tape here, so I'm also going to tear it in half, or tear little pieces off of it, because sometimes you need these little pieces to help you with the head or the ears. So I'm just sticking them on the table here so that they're easy to grab once I crumple up the newspaper to make the body. Okay, so to make the body, you need a piece of newspaper that is the whole big piece. So I don't know if the camera will show you this, but this is the whole piece of newspaper, okay? And when you are crumpling it up to make the body, you don't want to crumple it too tight, or just put your hands under there, and you kind of crumple it up inside itself. So you can see what I'm doing there. I kind of crumpled it up inside itself like that. And also, make sure that you have your little pictures so that you can kind of think about what shape you want to make this body into. So I'm making this mouse, so I know that I want it to be kind of round towards the back, but I want this sort of oval face at the front, okay? So I'm crumpling up my paper, and I can tell this is going to be the back part, and this is going to be the front part because it's already started taking shape. You can see this part is wider and this part is narrower. So once you get that much done, you want to take some tape and tape it so that it doesn't open up on you while you're trying to work with it. Okay, so there's the back part, and then I'm going to tape the front part also. Just going to make the tape go all the way around. I'm not taping it super tight. I don't want to squish it too much. I just don't want it to open up on trying to work with it and make it into the shape that I want. Okay? Okay, so there's sort of my mouth shape. Okay, and I know that I'm going to want to make this just a little bit smaller, but that's okay for now. Now, I am going to add tape around the back end of it also, and to this area right here, because eventually it does need to be covered with tape, because when you paper mache it, the paper will just get super soggy if you don't have some tape on it. Okay, so now I want to get my face done for my mouth. So I'm going to show you one that I kind of already did. So you can see that his face is sort of pointy. If I hold it like that, I guess you can see that his face is sort of pointy. And that's what I need to do. So it's pretty simple, actually. It's almost like an egg, right, with a little point on the front. Okay. So to make that little point, that's where I'm going to use my skinnier tape. I just want to make it a little bit tighter there so that the paper is forming that point at the front. Okay, so you can see it's getting there. It's getting there. It takes a little bit of time. Gotta be patient. You gotta work it, okay? So it's starting. I like the way it looks so far. You see this big hole here? That's not a problem, because what I'm going to do is I am going to take a little more tape, tear a couple more pieces off, and that hole is just going to get covered up just like that. No need to worry. And the hole is gone. Okay. All right, so my mouse is taking shape here. Let's take a look at it here. I like the way it's starting to look. If you've got some funny little lumps and bumps, that's okay. When we paper mache it, they'll come out, or they won't, and we won't worry about it, and it'll be just fine. Okay, so the next thing I want to show you is how you can make this face, how you can form the face just a little more so that it shows more detail. This is kind of floppy, and it's not, I can't manipulate it to make the detail that I want to make it. So this is where the foil comes in. So you just need a little piece of foil, and I'm just going to cut some, and by the way, this sharpens your scissors to cut foil. And I actually kind of want it to be a square, so I'm going to cut it like that. And then you just take the foil and you kind of wrap it around the front of your mouse, over where you want the head to be, okay? And you will want to tape that on too. That's why I got the tape ready. Okay, just tape it on. And then you'll be able to manipulate this a little bit more to make it the shape that you want, okay? Because it stays when you squeeze it. So don't squeeze it too hard, okay? So that's looking pretty good. I'm pretty happy with my mouse. Need a little more tape. Okay, I think I'm going to put some down here. And once you get that foil just the way you want it, then you're going to want to tape over your foil too, okay? So a finished one looks kind of like this. Okay, you see that little mouth right there. Okay, so you can see that. I'll just turn it a little bit so you can see it. Okay, okay, and let me see if I have another one to show you. I think I have a little mouse here too. Yeah, so here's another one to show you. So in this one, I've put the foil on, and then I've taped all around it. I'm going to show you about the ears and the feet in just a second. Okay. All right, so I'm going to finish taping this guy up. When you're taping this part, you don't want to push it too much, because once the foil is squished, it's really hard to unsquish it, okay? And just a little trick for doing around the nose, I have found that if you take a piece and kind of wrap it like that, and then go on the other side and wrap it like that, you can get kind of a little point going there, okay? All right, oops, I got some problems over here, so let's cover those up with tape. And now don't worry about the tail. We'll get to that at the very end, okay? So no worries about the tail. Okay, so once you have it pretty much taped up, like this, kind of looks like a potato, but that's okay. It's going to look like a mouse eventually. And remember, nothing in nature is perfect. So you don't have to worry about, oh my gosh, my mouse has to be this certain size or shape. You know what? Nothing is perfect. You just do the best you can, and if you're happy with it, then everyone else is going to be happy with it. Okay, so for the ears. Now, you know everything has to be covered with tape. That includes the ears. So this is where the cardboard comes in. So you take a piece of cardboard, and you will need to cover it with tape on both sides. And you only need enough for your 2 ears, so you don't need to cover this whole thing, okay? I'm just happen to have this size, so that's what I did. Plus, I made like a whole ton of these, so I might need some more ears. I'll show you in just a second all the different ones that I made. Okay, so this is ready for my ears. Now, I'm going to be looking at the shape of the ears of the animal that I'm making. Okay, so if I was making a little hedgehog, they have tiny little ears. If I was making a mouse, their ears are a little bit bigger, kind of like an oval shape. Whereas this guy, his ears are almost round. okay? This is why you need some pictures to look at. If I was doing the bunny, then of course I would need to make these big bunny-shaped ears, like that, okay? So, for example, when I was sort of sketching it out, obviously this would be the bunny shape, and this would be the mouse shape. I think I would maybe make it just a little bit rounder. I'm not sure about that shape, but I think I would make it just a little bit rounder to be a bunny ear. And then this is the little hedgehog ear. Now, so I'm making the mouse, so I'm going to make my little template look like this. And it's very important that you leave a little tab on the end. This, you're not going to see that, but you need to cut it out because we're going to fold that, and that's how we're going to attach the ear to the head. Okay, so this is my template. I'm not drawing it directly on my masking tape yet because I actually don't want to waste any masking tape, and if I didn't like the way my ears looked, then I would waste the tape. So I just wanted to make a little a template, and I can hold it up to my mouse and decide if I think it's big enough or if I think I need it to be a little bit bigger. Okay, and I actually think that I need that to be a little bit bigger. When I think about the size of the head and the size of the ears, I think that maybe that would be better. I want his ears to be bigger, and you know what, that's just my preference. You might not want your ears to be that big. Okay, so whatever works for you is fine. Okay, so I would take my template and put it on this cardboard that I've taped on both sides and trace it. You gotta trace it 2 times because your mouse has 2 ears, and cut it out. Okay, so it looks just like this, and through the magic of television, I will have 2 of these finished, and ta-da, there they are. All right, now I want to attach these to my mouse. So one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to my reference, and I'm going to look at where those ears are. They're not on the top of the head. They're not over here. They're kind of in between. So when I tape them on, that's where I want them to be. Okay. The first thing I'm going to do is fold my ear so it has a little tab on it. I'm going to fold the other one. Okay, so they have little tabs. I'm going to get my tape ready. Always good to have that tape ready. And this time I only need little pieces like this. Okay, so just a couple of little pieces. This is how you're going to attach your ears to your critter. Okay, so here's my critter. I'm looking at his face, and I'm thinking about where I want those ears to go. Okay, so I think right about there looks good. I can look at my reference, and I can look at this. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing here. And I'm going to tape it on the back. So just take a piece of tape and tape it on the back. It's not secure, and that's okay, and I'll show you why in a sec. Now I want to put the other one on. So I'm going to look at it. You can kind of see, look at it. And I'm deciding, are they symmetrical? Is that where I want them? And yep, that's good. So I'm going to take this piece and tape it on. Now they're not very secure, and that's okay because then you can kind of move them around if you look at it and decide, no, that's not exactly where I want them. Okay, so there's my little mouse ears, and I'm happy with that. So I'm going to add some more tape to make sure they're secure. Now that ear's not going to go anywhere. And now that ear won't go anywhere. Now, another thing you might want to do is you might want to tape it in the front too, just so it stands up the way you want it to. That can be kind of helpful. Okay. All right, so there's my little mouse. Okay, there he is. Hello, I miss my friends. And I'm going to add a little bit of tape up here too, because I want that to be completely covered with tape. Okay. Now, that's a mouse. You might notice, or you will notice, that when you compare a hedgehog with a mouse, the hedgehog seems to be just a little bit bigger right here. His little lump, his back is just a little bit higher. So if you wanted to, and you don't have to do this, but you could if you wanted to. If you wanted to, This is my hedgehog that I made. You can make the body the exact same way by crumpling up the newspaper like this, like we crumpled it up. And then you can take another little piece of paper, about 1/4 of a page. Okay, so here's a half a page. Tear that in half. About 1/4 of a page, you'll crumple it up the exact same way. Okay, and then you can add it to the back there to make him have this little lump right here. Do you see how it gets a little bit higher? Okay, so this is where I taped it right here. So this is just an extra piece of newspaper that I taped right there. Okay, and then you'll also notice that the hedgehog's ears are a lot smaller than the mouse's ears. So if you look at these two, okay, they're just a little bit different. Here's the hedgehog, and here's the mouse. Okay, now for the bunny, I have a bunny over here that's getting finished. So the bunny actually needs 2 pieces of paper. So you do the body the exact same way. Okay, you crumple the paper into itself, and then I'll show you what to do. I think I started a body for the, I guess, here's a little head. Okay, so hang on one second. I'm gonna take that off. Okay, so here's the body that I crumpled up, and I want to add the head for the bunny. The bunny has a head. Okay, and I will add the head as a separate piece. I'm going to tape this up a little bit. Remember, when you crumple it, it's kind of helpful just to have your tape already ripped, so you don't have to, because it just pops up. It just comes uncrumpled. Okay. All right. So I feel like this is not going to be fluffy enough, so I'm just going to re-crumple it so it's a little bit fluffier, and then I'll add that head on. Okay. So let's take some tape and add the head. Now you have to play with this a little bit to get it just right, because you do want a little neck here. Okay, you can see that this is an extra piece of newspaper right here. It's just a ball of newspaper that I added. Okay. And you can also use foil on the head of the bunny to shape it the way you want. So the bunny's head is a little bit flatter like this. Okay, so he's a little bit different. Okay. Okay, so bunny will come along. I'm going to flip that a little bit. Okay, so the bunny will have the head and the body. Okay, of course the bunny's ears you make the exact same way. You just draw them on your template, draw a template, and then put the bunny's ears on the side of the head. Okay, they don't go on the top, so look at your picture. The bunny's ears go on the side of the head. Okay, all right, so I'm going to put this bunny away, and if you want to make a little herd, so I made some little tiny mice. This mouse is made the exact same way as the big mouse, only instead of a whole piece of newspaper, I just used 1/4 of a piece. So I ripped it in half and then ripped it in half again. So that's that. This is one with a whole piece of newspaper. That little mouse, and I can tell he's a mouse because he has bigger ears. This mouse, which is a little bit bigger than this mouse, is from a half a piece of paper. So if you want a small mouse, you use 1/4 piece of paper. If you want a bigger mouse, you use a half a piece of paper. And then the biggest mouse, you use the whole piece of paper. And I think I made a couple of little ones just for fun. Okay. Now, the next step after you get these all covered with newspaper, like this little mouse is, and this big mouse is, then you are going to decide how, or then we're going to paper mache it. And on the next video, I'll show you how to paper mache. Now, paper mache requires a little bit of flour and a little bit of water. And I'll show you how to mix it, and I'll show you how to apply it when we do our next video. Okay? Well, friends, have fun making these little creatures. Don't stress yourself out about it. Remember, it's just fun. to make these little guys, and it's kind of fun to make a whole bunch of them. The mice, I would have to tell you, I think the mice are probably the easiest ones. They don't require anything extra. The little hedgehog just kind of requires that extra bump on his back, although if you don't do that, it's really not going to matter because you'll know it's hedgehog because his ears are tiny. And then the bunny just requires this extra piece for the head. Now, if you are crumpling up your newspaper, remember the bunny's body is made exactly the same way. You crumple it inside and tape it up. You can tell I just painted the bunny. If his head is not big enough with a quarter piece of paper, you can try a half a piece of paper. When I may have used a half a piece of paper for this bunny head. I'm not sure. Okay, so friends, have fun with this, and I will be posting the next video, which is the paper mache, just as soon as we get paper mache in. Okay, bye friends.